All right, next up in our preseason week 1 recap is the Giants against the Bills, with the Giants winning this one 34-25. Their highest graded players starting off with edge rusher Trace Ford, 84.3 grade, offensive guard Aaron Stinney, 81.8 grade. Their first round quarterback right there, Jaxson Dart, 80.7 grade. Joshua Zudu with a 79.8 grade. And DJ Davidson, the D tackle, 77.9. Let's go over to Buffalo with their highest graded player, starting off with their rookie D tackle, Deion Walker, 92.8 grade. The guy from Kentucky fell to the fourth round, I should say, of the draft. Cornerback Taron Johnson, 90.9 grade. Linebacker Matt Milano, 87.1 grade. Quarterback Mitch Trubisky, 86.9 grade. And then your guy, Dalton, Frank Gore Jr., the running back, 84.4 grade. Talk about him in a second, but let's first talk about the first-round quarterback, Jaxson Dart, who looked really good, I would say, in his first game as a New York Giant.
Yeah, he looked solid. I thought he did a lot of the things a lot of his strong suits showed up in this game, right? When you talk about throwing balls outside the numbers, especially the touchdown throw, the go route in tight coverage into the end zone. Then you had, the explosive run that he had under pressure, taking off, getting north and south, getting a 19-yard rush for a first down. I think what you saw from Jaxson Dart was a lot of his strengths. He's going to throw outside the numbers. He's an underrated athlete who's going to take off and run. It's a couple of inaccurate throws. I thought there was only maybe one or two good throws over the middle of the field. Sometimes the ball placement was a little shaky, but for the most part, in his first NFL action, I thought Dart looked really solid, and I think if Brian Daboll just continues for him to stick with his strengths for now as a young player, there's some things we know that, have to be filled in. It's obviously his college offense with Lane Kiffin was very much predicated on vertical balls outside the numbers, so there's a little more adjusting that needs to happen in some of those in-between areas and reading zone coverages, but I thought this was a positive performance for Dart. Also a 90.1 grade under pressure. That's really where you saw him shine, was the poise under pressure, taking hits, throwing the touchdown as pressure was barreling down on him. I thought Dart looked composed in this game, and that's what you want to see in his first game.
His tape at Ole Miss, it's almost like you even see rushers come at him, which is like a double-edged sword, because he stands in there and takes the hits, but also sometimes you're like, dude, you got to see that guy coming too. But it was in that game, it actually was really good for Jaxson Dart. What I love from what I saw from Jaxson Dart in this game, he went through progressions in this game. You could see it on tape, honestly. So Jaxson Dart, that was kind of the question mark for him coming out of Ole Miss, was, hey, a lot of hand-holding in that offense with Lane Kiffin coaching it up. Is not a lot of progressions in that offense. It took a while on some plays. He's still obviously getting used to doing it, but you could see him going from 1 to 2 to 3 and then making the throw. So that was very encouraging. It wasn't like it was just, okay, one read and throw it like it was at Ole Miss. He was going through progressions. He looked like an NFL quarterback, I thought, in this game. 12 for 19, 154 yards, and his touchdown pass was a big-time throw, too. A beautiful throw down the sideline for Jaxson Dart. So, yes, very encouraging debut for Jaxson Dart. I want to shout out this guy, Don, because I don't think he played enough snaps to make the list. Abdul Carter, the third overall pick for the Giants, the other first-round pick for New York, he looked awesome. He only had 3 pass rush snaps. He had 3 pressures on those pass rush snaps against the Bills' starting offensive line, too. He beat Deion Dawkins, who's a Pro Bowl left tackle, a couple times, too. Abdul Carter looked phenomenal. Again, it was a very, very limited amount of snaps for Abdul Carter, but from what we saw on those snaps against legitimate starting caliber NFL offensive linemen, both at left tackle, and I think Osiris Torrance would be in the other one too, he looked legit, man.
Well, and I think all 3 of those reps are important. When you talk about beating a guy like Deion Dawkins twice, and then you talk about the ability to rush inside over the right guard, and all the same things we talk about with Abdul Carter that Micah Parsons can do on a weekly basis. I know, again, this is 6 snaps total, 3 as a pass rusher. It feels like this Giants pass rush is going to be really dangerous, doesn't it? With Carter flying all over the place, with Dexter Lawrence inside, with Kayvon Thibodeau, with Brian Burns, this is going to be a real issue for opponents. There's going to be teams that play the Giants this year, and I really think if your offensive line does not have their chin straps buckled in and they're not ready to go, boy, oh boy, it's going to be a long day for your quarterback. This pass rush with Abdul Carter added in is scary. I think it's going to be a real problem.
He looked phenomenal, honestly, and he could be, I think he's right now the favorite to win Defensive Rookie Rookie of the Year, and it makes complete sense with how good he looked in that first game against the Bills. Let's shout out a couple other rookies, Dolan, who were really good as pass rushers too. For Buffalo, Deion Walker and TJ Sanders on the interior were both pretty solid.
Yeah, Walker with the big pressure win on the inside against the Giants, right guard, and then the batted pass to follow it up. TJ Sanders had a couple of pressures. I think that's what you're looking for. Look, these guys aren't going to play 60, 70 snaps a game. They're not going to start. The only two guys on the Bills defensive line who are going to play that much are Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver. But if you get these sort of pass rush reps situationally 20 times a game, even out of Sanders and out of Walker, and we should mention Landon Jaxson as well later on off the edge, Joey Bosa coming in there, Michael Hoyt coming in there. I think the Bills, they're going to be going for the depth approach on their defensive line, both inside and off the edge. But a good start for both Walker and Sanders in this game. And you like to see Matt Milano with such a high grade too. I know he's not a young player, but that's a guy I'm looking for to really bounce back at linebacker for him. So some good developments for the Bills this week on defense. And even Frank Gore Jr., it's a situation to watch because something we haven't talked about much is this James Cook contract situation. We don't know how long this is going to drag out. He suited up and warmed up with the team and then declined to play when given the opportunity. So that could be a battle, but I think the Bills have some really good depth at running back too with Ray Davis, with Ty Johnson, and even with Frank Gore Jr. as the fourth guy.
Absolutely. We actually have a question in the chat. $5 super chat. Shout out to Sports Debate Arena who made that contribution right there. He said, maybe too early, but would you start Stinney, Azudu, or Mbo at guard or center right now? All three of them look really good in this game for the Giants. Would you make any changes to the interior offensive line after this one game for New York?
No, I doubt it. I mean, Stinney's the guy with a lot of experience, and he played pretty well in this game. But I think they're going to roll for now with the same crew that they had last year in Runyon, John Michael Schmitz at center, who needs to play a lot better, and then the veteran Greg Van Roten. But it's good to build depth. Aaron Stinney especially has always been a really good depth guy. I don't think you have a real competition on this offensive line right now. It seems like it's pretty set. And even I think Evan Neal's been getting reps at guard, but I'm pretty sure Runyon, Schmitz, and Van Roten are going to be the three starters for this team going in, and then we'll see where it goes if either of the veterans or even Schmitz at center struggles again.
I will say Marcus Mbo looked really good in his first game. The rookie out of Purdue, who was a fifth-round pick, who I thought could have been a day 2 pick of the NFL draft. Honestly, he had an 81.2 pass blocking grade. He had a few really nice reps you saw on tape too. So he's a guy that right now is playing right tackle for the Giants, but I think he could be an interior guy long term because he doesn't have great length at tackle. So he's got to watch out for in the future, but I don't think he'll be a starter on the interior right now.
I do think the one thing with Bo, though, is that if they're moving Evan Neal inside to guard, you do need somebody behind Jermaine Illuminor and Andrew Thomas, who's had injuries the last couple of years as well. So you do need that depth at tackle. If he can provide that even better than Evan Neal did before, then you've got a case where he's got a role as the swing tackle on this team, or even the swing just offensive lineman on this team anywhere you need him.
So to answer your question, no, we don't think they'll make any changes to the starting interior offensive line as of right now, but it's very good to have great depth on the offensive line because it's very rare you have the same 5 guys every single week for all 17 games of an NFL season. So it's good to have depth in case one of those guys goes down. And we saw in that preseason game, Giants might be having some pretty good depth on that offensive line right now.